So, as I'm still clearing out my back burner of video ideas that I never got around to, this is a video that is 4 years in the making. 4 fucking years. And if I had made it throughout those years, it would have come out differently. Seriously. And I feel like the education that we all get from watching each other's videos here on YouTube and all these discussions we've had has really flavored how I now feel about what happened 4 years ago. So, to paint you all a picture, 4 years ago, I was on a road trip with Schizophrenic Queen as my co-pilot, and we were driving through the southwest part of the United States between Texas and California. And we were stopping at a lot of different YouTubers' homes. These were Sea Beach, Shayra, The Barking Atheist, Inventor Gorilla, many, many homes. And one of them that we stopped at was Rogi Riverstone. Okay, Rogi was a member of our clique. She was a good friend on YouTube, and she was part of the same clique of us that were playing Minecraft together on shared servers, with Brian J1962 being the biggest host of that. Also, Death of Speech was involved in that. Anyways, we were a good circle of friends, but around that same time, something happened in the atheist community. And this is the initial rumblings of it, but now it has blown up into a much bigger deal. And what happened was, the best way I can describe it is, it used to be that the conversation was about atheism versus theism. You know, that was where the dividing line was. And then it became, are you a social justice warrior or a shitlord? Right? And so the battle lines were redrawn, okay? Because it was no longer enough for you to be an atheist standing next to an atheist in this fight for recognition of our rights. It was then, are you completely on board with all of the different social justice causes? And if you're not, we've got a purity test for you. We've got this screening that we want you to go through, and if you're not one of us, we're going to let you know. You know, we're going to shun you. We're going to talk to your friends behind your back and tell you to not be subscribed to people that don't agree with us completely. It was a tough time for me because I didn't realize what was going on until years later. Okay, I've been a pretty friendly person to many people here on YouTube, and I probably, in our circles here, hold the distinction of being the person who's visited the most people in their own homes or in their own hometown because of the road trips that I've gone on. It's not just about meeting people at all the conventions and meetups that I've gone to. I like to see people on their own terms, in their own life, and spend some time with people, not just at a bar where you can't hear each other over the roar of the whole room. I want to know, what it's like to walk in your shoes for a day. And so when Schizophrenic Queen and I drove up upon Rogi Riverstone's abode, it was a very interesting experience. And I'm going to leave links in the description box so that you can see part of what I'm talking about, and I'll be playing some clips in this video. But to be sure, we were not in our own environment because we were coming upon someone who was living in abject poverty. And when I say this, I mean the trailer that she was in was run down. She had a broken truck next to it that she couldn't drive. She had tarps making a sort of patio, and she was a hoarder. Okay, something that hasn't come out in her videos, and I don't feel like I'm maligning her by saying this, but yes, there are other witnesses to this. Okay, Schizophrenic Queen was right there with me. Rogi Riverstone was a hoarder. And this is not something that you would learn from someone when you just interact with them on the internet and then you decide, hey, I'm making a road trip from this place to this place. Is there anyone along this way that I'd like to visit that has been a friend of mine on YouTube, that maybe might want to have me take them out to dinner? When you're deciding these things, you don't realize, hey, I only see what someone shows me from this camera angle, and everything that's cropped out of it, you cannot see. Like, everything behind me looks pretty organized, right? But if I were to take a look at my desk right here, it's pretty messy right now. I've got like a stack of paperwork over there, like mail that I haven't gone through. I'm not pointing my camera at that. And so when we arrived at Rogi Riverstone's trailer park, it was not what I had imagined, and we were obviously not going to stay there because there was no room in her trailer at all for her to ever have guests over. Not just for like spending the night maybe, but not even to like visit for a minute. I mean, seriously, there was not enough room in her trailer to turn around, barely, for a guy my size especially. It was a shock, okay? And I felt, on one side, a little weirded out by it, but also I felt like, she was letting us in to see what was going on in her life, and that is, in itself, kind of a nice privilege to have, that somebody's, allowing you to see how they really are, And so I took her out to eat at a place that maybe she couldn't have afforded to eat on her own. We ate ribs. There's a video on her channel, I'll leave a link in the description box, where we were talking about a butt rub, just joking around. It was, innuendo with the whole rub that you use on ribs. And, yeah, we went back to the hotel that Queenie and I were going to stay at, and that's where I decided to film her answering a set of questions that I was asking every person on that road trip, so that I could later, when I got home, rearrange all of their answers so that each person would be answering the same question in each video. And these are on my channel as road surveys, right? And I wanted to include her in the road survey, but I definitely did not feel like it was appropriate for me to use the backdrop of her front yard or patio area, as it were, because it was a pigsty. It was a hoarder lair, okay? And also, inside of her trailer, there's not enough room to set up a camera, So we filmed that in the hotel room that we were going to be staying for that night, because that was the most appropriate way to be inclusive to her. We were still wanting to be good friends and all. Now, as part of this trip, she gave me a bag of cookies that she had baked in her oven, and she was very proud of these cookies. She had named them after creationists, and some of them were good. There was one that had cracked pepper over the top of it, a cookie with black pepper on it, and you'd think that was a little weird, but it actually was kind of good. And so when we left her place, I had this bag of cookies that I actually was chewing on when it would get dark and I was still driving, and we were driving hundreds of miles from one place to another, and I just wanted to stay awake. It was the thing that was keeping me awake, was nibbling on these cookies. And yeah, that was a nice gift that she gave me. Also, that morning that we were going to leave, after the night where we filmed all of those responses to my questions, that morning she had prepared a breakfast. And if you were to watch her video, in the description box, she says that I rejected the eggs that she made, and that she spent money that was very precious to her, because she's very poor, on these eggs, and she got a good deal on them. And she thought that I was privileged for not accepting her eggs, and I was just snooty, and I gave her a look when she offered me some eggs. Now, here's the thing about that. I have a disability where I take some medication, and that medication, when it interacts with food, especially proteins like eggs, if I eat any sort of proteins within 2 hours of taking that medication that I have to take in the morning, I will have diarrhea. Violent diarrhea. Okay? So I skip breakfast every day of my life. Okay? And I can try to explain this to people who want to take me to breakfast for whatever, as much as I want, till I'm blue in the face. But some people just are pushy and they want to do something friendly for you. I took her out for dinner. She wanted to make us breakfast with what she had. Okay. I did eat other things that were not the eggs, but the eggs in particular were going to react violently with my medication. I felt like I had explained this. Apparently she forgot. And so she, in her video that she made later, she lambasted me as being somebody who was stuck up for not eating the eggs. And I feel like as a disabled vet with, no thyroid left anymore, I feel like you would get a sort of, I guess, a stature of points when you're dealing with somebody who is of the social justice mindset. But I guess maybe the veteran part doesn't fly. Anyways, I feel like I was unjustly accused of being a snob in her video. But what made her make the video, what triggered her, is something that I could not have foreseen on two parts. First was how sensitive she was with her feelings, and the second was what happened on video. Now, as we made our trip, when we left her place, all the way to California, where we visited another YouTuber by the name of James Pope. You might have heard of him. He's now on a vegan trip, and his hair looks like a fro, and he's got a nice mustache and beard. But he used to be another one of us atheist activists here on YouTube, and now he bodybuilds with vegetables. When we visited him, he was just joking around, and the camera was on, and I offered him one of Rogi Riverstone's cookies. And I was trying to explain, like, they all had different creationists that they were made from and everything. And I offered him a cookie, and he slapped the bag down out of my hand, and it fell on my leg. Hey, James. Want to try a cookie?
Fuck off! No, I don't want your goddamn cookies.
Come on.
You're away from me right now.
Now, all of the cookies stayed in the bag, which the camera was turned off right after the bag was slapped down. None of the cookies were ruined. Okay? So, that little clip just stayed on my camera, on my memory card, until I got all the way back to Colorado. Now, after that, we drove a little bit in California. We drove back through New Mexico. We went to Texas. We were at Sea Beach's house. And I had been eating those cookies, nibbling on them to stay awake, the whole fucking time, right? I forgot about the cookies. I left them on the 3 or 4 that were left. I left them on Sea Beach's kitchen counter, on the counter of the house that his brother owned, his late brother. Nice guy. So, those cookies were not ruined by James Pope slapping them out of my hands. Okay? But that little clip was part of the outtakes video that I made later on. And when Rogi Riverstone saw that clip come up, it triggered her, right? And it wasn't a joke to her. In fact, I'm just going to play a clip of what she had in her video so you get an idea. The full video is in the description box. It's still up on our channel. You can go watch the whole thing, and you'll be you'll be subjected to some of her hoarding, as you see in her video. And I'm not trying to make fun of her as she thinks that I was trying to make fun of her. So you can watch her video if you want. She's doing enough damage herself, but I just want you to see the horror that she had when she saw her bag of cookies knocked out of my hand.
I'm trapped out here all alone. You see how I live. And you chose to use my life as a joke? I was just some prop. I was like clown shoes or a funny mustache. I was never a human being to you at all. Talk about privilege. Talk about being spoiled brat. You let that bastard slap that bag of cookies down on the ground.
So after that video where she addressed me, she did not talk to me when I tried to talk to her directly about what she had accused me of in her video and how she characterized me. But for a little while, I still felt warmly about her. I just felt like she was going through some sort of psychological trauma or something. And I knew she was going through some hard times, and it was coming up on Christmas of that year, 4 years ago, and I decided to send her some money on PayPal, just so that she could eat something for Christmas. And she made a video called Festivus Chicken, where she was eating good because I sent her some money, you know. But still, I had not prostrated myself enough because I was privileged. Okay, I guess taking a road trip in my Suburban, I was privileged and she was not, and I didn't get it because I let somebody slap a bag of cookies out of my hand. I didn't let him, you know. I didn't let him. He just did it. It surprised me. It was just a spontaneous thing that happened. I wasn't trying to dishonor her gift to me at all, but she was fucking triggered. Watch the whole video if you want to know how fucking triggered she was. She never talked to me again, ever. Ever. She's like 4 years going on. She left YouTube about 3 years ago. But before she left, she made a video where she tried to distance herself from many of the friends that she had made over the years here on YouTube that were part of the atheist community. And I'm going to play a clip of that, and you'll hear a couple key words that nowadays would let you know where somebody stands politically. But back then, none of us really knew what it meant as much as we know now.
I have an announcement to read. I just posted this on Facebook. Announcement. Reactionary, anti-theist, libertarian, actually Ayn Randian egomaniacs, queer-bashing misogynists have commandeered the word atheist. They're a bunch of irrational, hormonal jerks who throw tantrums the moment they even suspect someone thoughtful and compassionate is in their vicinity. Therefore, I am no longer identifying with the word atheist. There's too much abusive baggage attached to that word now. I am an atheist, but the word has a popular meaning of anti-theist, harassing troll. In conclusion, I will from now on refer to myself as a secular humanist. I don't give a damn what you believe as long as you don't make it my problem. And I will work in coalition with you in social activism to remove all the restraints, abuses, and repressions associated with all systems, including religious, that make humanity suffer. I don't have any energy for the acid, filth, ugliness, and petty gossip of the so-called atheist community online anymore. I won't engage it, I won't address it, I won't let the silly drama infest my heart or stain my mind. You're acting like a bunch of spoiled, arrogant brats while people are really suffering at the hands of reactionary fundamentalism. You're loaded with privileges and goodies, and all you can do is jerk off? Fuck you.
So, many of you who are watching that probably recognized a lot of the dog whistle, virtue signaling buzzwords that came from that video. And this was 4 years ago, before many people had drank the Kool-Aid, and before we'd had this huge discussion here on YouTube about what it is to be a social justice warrior and what it means to be a shitlord. And I heard there, the last thing she said was privilege, social activism, all sorts of different things that she was saying there. I'm no longer an atheist now. I'm a secular humanist, and we recognize these things now. Now after this great education that YouTube has given me with all of this discourse, I know what happened. I know that because I didn't, because we all didn't go along with all the different issues that she was trying to get us to go along with, because we felt like atheism and sometimes freedom of speech was our issue, and that we weren't interested in all of the different issues that she was interested in. That's why she left. She left our circle of friends, And I don't feel malice towards her. I mean, watch her videos. There's more to it. There's a lot more to it. I don't feel any malice towards her. What I really feel now, after all these years, is you can spend your time here on Earth enjoying yourself, or you can spend your time here on Earth just dwelling on every horrible social issue and labeling people. Labels. You can do that if you want. But I feel like we haven't heard from her in 3 years. Her health was declining, and she may die with the last 10 years of her life being a miserable mess because of all of the social justice things that were just going on in her head. Her head was a sea of all of those things that we now recognize here on YouTube as being social justice warrior Kool-Aid. I feel bad for her, I don't know what else to say, except for I feel that without these discussions, without these issues coming up, we still would have had a friend in Rogi Riverstone. And when they did come up, all of a sudden, we were the enemy. And it's not like we don't care about any of the poor or disadvantaged that she cares about. It's just that if you are not completely on board with every little thing, you are the enemy. That's the way that mentality works. And I didn't know at what point it was going to happen. I didn't know that it was going to happen. But in my case, it happened with cookies being slapped out of my hand and it offending her. That's what triggered her. And I'm glad that I didn't realize that she was a social justice warrior as we know them today back then, because I might have tried to walk on eggshells to try to save our friendship. I might have, put forth a different me that was completely reserved in her presence, but I'd rather be myself and not worry about what is it going to be that makes you explode, I almost feel like the rhetoric of social justice as we know it today is a sort of viral meme that really destroys your ability to enjoy life. And it's almost like a communicable mental disease that really ruins fun and separates people. It's so divisive. And that was the story of how I lost my first friend to social justice warriorism.